everybody, it's Katie from KatersAcres, and today we're going to talk about two very important mediums that I see so often on my website, people are getting confused about in the forums, and also in Parker's tribe, and I'll put those links in the down bar below. Both of those things are TLS, or Translucent Liquid Sculpey, as well as Bacon Bond. Now these are two very different products. In many ways they can act the same, but in many ways they do not. So the first one let's talk about is TLS, or Translucent Liquid Sculpey. This is an old bottle. I am honestly not sure if the bottle even looks like this anymore. I have purchased several of these and just kind of had them stashed. So the bottle may not look like this anymore because this is indeed several years old. But what Translucent Liquid Sculpey is, if you are doing polymer to polymer connections, especially if you have a baked piece of polymer and you're trying to attach a raw piece of polymer, it's going to need something for better adherence once it's baked. And that perfect ingredient is Translucent Liquid Sculpey. Now, TLS can be used not only for that application, but for a variety of others. One of my favorites to get a very soft and matte finish that I have done for years on all different kinds of beads, more non-artistic beads, more rough-looking beads. I make a lot of faux stone beads, or used to, rather. And I always liked this finish on them, was I would take a little bit of TLS and I would put it on a cosmetic sponge. In fact, this one's still a little bit damp from the last time I used it. But I'd put some on a cosmetic sponge and then literally dab it and swipe over the bead. And by doing that, I'm sealing the clay, and when it bakes, because it's not thick, it's not a thick coating, it's not going to drip. So I do like using this for more natural applications. You would not want to use this if you're making faux lamp work beads and use the same technique. So just don't do that. You'll be very disappointed, and it'll actually create more work for you. But TLS is good for polymer to polymer connections. You can use this for all kinds of things. TLS can also be used alone, by itself, to do things as window clings, to be used in polyforms, cabochon molds. You can use TLS. You can tint this, you can dye this, you can add polymer to this, you can add alcohol ink to this to change the color. So this is really a great medium. The second product, which is very, very different, and actually the product that I prefer, is called Bacon Bond. But Bacon Bond is a fantastic material, and it is very, very strong. Bacon Bond is best suited for polymer to non-polymer connections. So if you have delicate pieces that you are working with in regard to metal, even metal filigree that you're going to add a cane slice to the center of, I would add some of this between the metal and the Millefiori cane slice, because it's actually thicker than liquid clay, so it's not going to drip in the same way that TLS would, and because it has that thicker consistency, in many cases it bonds better. The other thing that I use Bacon Bond for is for my figurines, to attach arms and legs or heads or portions. I'm going to use Parker here as my example. Many of you know Parker, and he's still for adoption on my website. So if you still want to adopt a piece of the fun and the magic, head on over to KatersAcres.com/shop, and you'll see him right at the top of the page. But one of the things that I use this Bacon Bond for is, what you cannot see is in many of my figurines, attaching arms, attaching legs, or attaching heads, are sticks of wire. Now, you and I both know that unless you bend the end of the wire and place your polymer piece on, the arm or the leg or the head, it's going to pop off over time. So one of the ways that I rectify that is to use either on the metal pin, or sometimes I'll use toothpicks. Larger figurines get toothpicks because, in my opinion, toothpicks are more substantial and heavy duty than a piece of wire. But I will put a little bit of this Bacon Bond on the metal or on the toothpick, and then place the head on my object. Dragons are a perfect example. Every dragon I make, whether it is jointed or not, has a piece of toothpick as its armature running from the head to the body, and it is secured with a couple drops of Bacon Bond. Like I had stated earlier, Bacon Bond is very, very, very thick. It is wonderful. Now, some people find that their Bacon Bond over time gets too thick, and I will agree that over time Bacon Bond does seem to get too thick. What I do to rectify that is I'll just take the top off. This one's fairly new, so I don't have to do that yet, but I don't know if you can see the consistency. See how thick that is? Can you see that? Let me see if I can. Can you see how thick that is? Okay, so it's pretty darn thick compared to liquid clay. But what you can do is take your bottle and just add 2 or 3 drops of mineral oil, and then I leave the top off, or baby oil, whatever you have. It's pretty much the same thing. And then I just start squeezing it to get it kind of all mixed in there, and then I'll just take a bamboo skewer and stir it in the bottle. That'll help to thin it. As it ages, it does tend to get a little bit thicker. So those are the primary differences, at least the differences that I use these for in my studio. I hope that these tips have been helpful for you to understand the difference between TLS and Bacon Bond. So I hope you guys have a great day. I can't wait to see you again in my next video. I'll see you soon. Bye! So I hope that that helps. If you have any questions, leave them in the down bar below. I'll leave links to each of these items that you can purchase on Amazon if you are international, or you can get them at any big box store. So be sure to check those out, and I thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys again soon, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, oops. TLS or translucent. Now this also is another very old bottle, I believe. I don't believe they make this label anymore either. You can tell I buy in bulk and then use them, or at least I used to buy more in bulk than I do